Hi all, Rick here with a video on the mainstay vessel of the Cardassian Armada, one which I often pronounce incorrectly, the Galor Class Cruiser. To begin with, let's take a gander at the real-world origin. It was created at the same time as the Cardassians were for their introduction in the Next Generation's The Wounded. It was designed by Rick Sternbach with assistance from Peter Lauritsen. The inspiration was an Egyptian Ankh symbol, with even more architectural cues built in, such as the hard angles, pyramid-shaped weapons placements, and sandy coloration. The prong at the rear was an addition from a rejected design which resembled a scorpion. This also gave the impression of the Cardassians mimicking the Klingon Voyager cruiser, which suggested that they reverse-engineered technology too. Ed Miyake and Tom Hudson built the physical model. So, on to the lore of the vessel. The name has an interesting origin myth attached to it, drawn from apocryphal content, but still. Galor was a cowled Cardassian warrior king from their medieval times. He led a large army of shadow warriors with such success that many of his enemies began to whisper he commanded foul sorceries, a rumour he did his utmost to foster, aware of the power of reputation and fear. He was also a figure of religious reverence as time went by, until the government exterminated those churches and took a stylised likeness of Galor as their banner. I should do a video on that emblem. Anyway, the myth continues to resonate with those within the Cardassian Union, and with such a state-centric industrial complex, is it any surprise that one of their most popular warriors went on to have a vessel not only named after him, but styled after his emblem? Viewed from above, the Galor class mirrors the image of Galor as used by the Cardassian Union. The messaging here is about as subtle as a hoarder's fart, with the Cardassian military literally flying around in ships made to look like their banner. The class, however, is incredibly old. It began development around the late 2310s when Starfleet was rocking the Excelsior and the Ambassador was a glimmer in some designers' eye. The line went on into production in 2318 with the CDS Galor CUW-8100, replacing the Select class as the new mainstay of the Cardassian fleet. Initial outings were less than ideal, but refinements were continual and conducted with a zeal that soon resulted in a formidable vessel when compared to neighbouring powers. Within 5 years, the class was carrying the Cardassians beyond their borders, leading their expansionist growth. Over its lifetime, however, it saw several overhauls, the most recent of which was the Type 3 project in 2370. So, when I recite stats, it's from the latest version. The main facility was the Cardassia Prime Orbital Assembly Facility, with the Monarch shipyards producing more later down the line. Its mission profile was, of course, patrol and combat, but also a wider array of military deployments, such as blockade, transport, orbital command centres and the like, and it was lacking in scientific purpose and research and development. This goes to show the focus of the Cardassian military and ultimately would bite them in the rear later down the line. The Galor was 372 metres long, 192 wide and 59 tall, spread over 12 decks. It had a mass of 1,678,000 metric tons and was classified as a medium cruiser. It had a crew capacity of just over 300, but some held up to 600. Its emergency capacity was 2,100. Beneath the main bridge was a prominent command section, which featured a wide array of tactical facilities for various operations. It could reach a maximum warp of 9.6 for short bursts, but this was only its theoretical maximum, and its general high warp factor was that of 8, while it cruised at 5. The warp coils are located along the wings, as are the gas diffusion matter-antimatter reactors, akin to a Klingon battlecruiser. It also had 2 C2 impulse engines and a rear CIA-2, but it was still rather sluggish a ship when it came to turn rate. In terms of armaments, it sported 8 spiral wave disruptor cannons, which were a uniquely Cardassian design. Some schematics suggest up to 25 placements. This technology is technically a disruptor, but it had some unusual properties that have it operate more like a phaser system in that it introduces a phased element to the particle stream. While not confirmed in canon what the difference is, some sources suggest that the effect compiles the disruptive properties of a disruptor, allowing the weapon to drain a target's systems of more power more effectively. The introduction of this technology came shortly after the Federation-Cardassian border wars, suggesting that they were able to reverse engineer Starfleet technology at some point. The main deflector actually houses a main spiral wave cannon too, and the array can fire in multiple modes. It also sported one forward-facing photon torpedo launcher. Auxiliary craft included room for 15 small craft, and its 13 transporter systems were behind both Klingon and Federation advancements. Their computer systems, and sensor suites too, were less advanced than Starfleet's, but it had ample cargo storage. I'm probably giving the impression that it's a really poor vessel, but honestly its redeeming factor is that it is reliable, if stubbornly behind the times. Plus, it's easy to overlook just how much more advanced the big three powers are compared to everyone else in the Alpha Quadrant. The Galor was very adaptable within its sphere, and if it was some form of military action, you could bet that this ship had the tech and ability to enact that order. Ultimately, the Galor class is an iconic ship. Literally. When it first entered service, it was a rival to Starfleet's ships, predominantly Miranda and Excelsior class vessels, but it failed to remain on par with Starfleet development. By 2364, one Galaxy class was worth 2 Galors. During the border wars, the Federation did not go all in on warfare, while the Cardassian Union did, which kind of says it all. While Starfleet certainly took the war seriously, they were able to maintain their exploration initiatives flawlessly, and in the aftermath, the Cardassians seem to have made a bit of a leap in development from studying their foes and caught up somewhat. But it was not until the Dominion alliance that they really began to stand up on par with the Federation once more. Of course, then the Dominion began simply to use the Cardassians and deprive them of their best advancements. What was really needed was a new design, not another overhaul, but I'll get to the Keldon class in the next ship video. Until then, I've been Rick. Until the next one, thanks again, and goodbye.